Aloha, this is Aaron from Hawaii Music Supply. Today we're going to be taking a look at some of the chords on the Baritone Ukulele. As you can see, this is a beautiful baritone. This is a pono, one of my personal favorites. Now, we're going to go over the beginner chords, and the easiest way to look at it is the C-A-G-E-D. It spells out the word caged. And I want you guys to be able to look at these shapes, and with these five shapes, we can make up any of the 12 major chords on the Baritone Ukulele. So let's take a look at the first shape, the C shape. What I'm doing is I'm taking my first finger and I'm putting it on the second string first fret, and I'm going to take my second finger and put it on the second fret of the fourth string. Now there's our C shape, but we can add in the optional note down here, which is a G, and I can either use my ring finger or my pinky to put the third fret of the first string down. Now this is going to become relevant later when I show you how they all line up. But for now, just look at it as a C shape, and this is also C shape. It's an optional note, meaning it doesn't have to be there, but it can. Okay? Next chord we're looking at is the A chord. And I hold it with my second finger across the top three strings, right? Second string, third string, and fourth string at the second fret. But you can hold it like that if you want, or like that, whatever is more comfortable for you. So as long as you've got those three strings held down all at the same time, you're good to go. Okay, so that's your A shape. The next shape is a G shape, and this is the easiest one. You put your third finger on the third fret of the first string, and you got that right there. Okay, then we have E. The E shape is going to be our first finger at the first fret of the third string, and our second finger at the second fret of the fourth string. Okay, there's our E shape. And our D shape looks like this, right? We have our first finger on the second fret of the third string, second finger at the second fret of the first string, and third finger at the third fret of the second string. So there you have it, C, A, G, E, and D. So if we look at it like this, right? The C, A, G, E, and D. If we look at it this way and lay them across the fretboard, we can get all of our chords, right? So here's our first one, C. We're going to put down our optional note. Now where that optional note falls, we're going to do the A shape. Right? Where that note is, where it ends, we're going to drop our finger across the whole thing, do the G shape, we're going to do the E shape where that ends, and where that ends, we do the D shape. Now on the D shape, it's a little bit tricky because we get back here where these line up together, where you have the two notes in the same fret, that's where you're going to put your bar, and you're going to go back to the C shape. But to make this easier and transition across the fretboard, what I want you guys to do is this little practice here. So when you see a C shape, what you're going to do is take your fingers and don't use your first finger. So we're still going to make this shape, but we're not going to use our first finger. That's the game right here, right? So we're going to go like this, and we can still put our optional note down with our pinky. So now the reason we're doing this is if we have that C shape and I want a C sharp, I'm going to move this whole thing up one fret, and I've still got my finger here, and that's what's going to be my bar. As you can see, now we have a C sharp with the optional note, without the optional note. And if I wanted to move that up one more, I've got a D. As you can see, it looks a lot like the D shape, right? It's kind of similar. The only difference is those two notes. So if we move up the D shape, we're going to change our fingers, right? Take these out, get that first finger back here. We slide this guy up one fret, and normally you'd probably want to put your finger here, right? But because the D had that open note, we're going to put our finger back here on the nut and pretend that we're fretting that. So we move that up one forward. Now we've got our D sharp. Okay. And then we have our E shape. If we move the E shape up, we're going to use these fingers again, right? Move it up one. Now our finger's on the nut. We're going to take the nut with us. There's F. We move Move it up one more. We have F sharp. And then we go to our G shape. Yeah? I'm sorry, G shape. I'm thinking ukulele again. But here's our G shape. Right? So we got our finger on the nut. Move that up one. G sharp. And then we're back to A. Okay? So we have our A shape now. We're going to use, you can use this finger if you want and just move it that way, but I use this finger when I move it. So I've got my finger on the nut, slide it up one, A sharp, B, and we're back to the C shape. So if you stay in the first position, this is a good exercise to practice moving your fingers around, right? So just use C, C sharp, D, D sharp, E, F, F sharp, G, G sharp, A sharp, B, back to C. And there's your 12 major chords within the first 4 frets. Now if you wanted to do that in every position, you could. So we just looked at starting on a C, right? So we can do the same thing here in this position because we said caged, C, A, G, E, D. So if we started here, we'd look at it like that, right? There's your C, C sharp, and you got your D, D sharp, and so forth. And you can just learn your whole chord progression all the way up to that. If you already play a regular ukulele, think of it as a 5th up. So like you count in a scale, right? C, D, E, F, G, A, D, C. So in the key of C, the 5 is G. So if you play a C chord on the ukulele, on the baritone, it's going to be a G because it's 5 up. So hopefully that will help you guys, and it's not too much information to overload you. Have fun with it. Let us know how that works out for you. Aloha.